Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so that you know when live we go.
Hello and welcome to RAU'S IAS DNS session. We are going to have a discussion on today's newspaper, The Hindu, Delhi edition dated 25th December 2021. We shall pick up articles important for civil service examination and discuss them as per the demand of the exam.
There is an article on the business page, Reverse GST Increase on Textiles and Apparels or Risk Job Losses. See, recently GST Council has taken the decision to raise the GST rate on several textile and apparel products. This will be effective from 1st January 2022. The Textile Ministry has recommended for removing the inverted duty structure. Inverted duty structure is the system of taxation where raw materials are taxed more than the finished products. The existing GST rate on man-made fibers is 18%. On man-made fiber yarn is 12%. And on man-made fiber fabric, which is a finished product, the GST rate is mere 5%. So now the announcement is that government will levy a uniform GST at 12% on the fiber, yarn, fabric and apparels. The economic argument put forward by government for this measure is if taxation of input is higher than tax on the final finished products, it creates a credit buildup and it creates a cascading effect in the entire value chain. Because if tax on the raw material is more, then ultimately that raw material is going to feed in to the latter stage of making the final finished product. So the tax will be added on in every step. Further, if the taxation at initial stage is more, then it is blocking the crucial working capital at the initial stage itself. So looking from the economic efficiency point of view, this inverted duty structure must be done away with. However, as per a recent study conducted by national level body of textile and clothing sectors, it has been estimated that 1 lakh small scale units would be forced to close down and almost 15 lakh people will be rendered unemployed if GST rate will be increased from 5% to 12%. See, the fabric and apparel sector employs around 3.9 crore people. The data varies, even the government data varies from place to place, but it ranges from 40 million to 45 million, around 4 crore. And this is excluding the farmers associated with growing of cotton and jute. So increasing the GST to 12% from 5% will imply that more working capital will be required. If more working capital is required, then either the units will shut down or they will move towards informal sector, meaning the evasion of GST will increase. And as per the recent definition of economic survey, if GST is paid, then the unit is considered informal sector. If the unit starts getting shut down, then it will also lead to higher import. These may ultimately result in higher prices, and if price increases, then there could be a cascading effect of decrease in demand. So even the clusters of textile units like one in Surat and Ludhiana, they have been demanding reversal of this decision of GST Council to increase GST to 12%. Some economist also has pointed out that the argument of center that the decision has been taken to correct an inverted duty structure is not a very strong one, because only 15% of textile industry suffers from this anomaly. Further, the center has estimated that with this reform, the government proposes to raise rupees 7,000 crore. But this 7,000 crore will come at the cost of increase in tax rate by 7%. And this 7% tax rate increase may lead to higher job loss of possibly 2 millions. So given the inflationary pressure in economy presently, the high rate of unemployment, and the rise in cotton and apparel prices during the time of pandemic, the suggestion is that status quo be maintained at least for some time, during which the reform measures that already has been taken by Government of India, for example, upgradation of technology, performance-linked incentive scheme, etc., when they started to yield result, after that, such a measure can be taken. Taking this opportunity, we'll cover the textile sector from the perspective of civil service examination. First of all, it's labor-intensive sector. It employs around 40 to 45 million people. This is second only to agriculture sector. All in all, textile and garment industry employs 21% of total labor force. Textile sector is one of the oldest in Indian economy. It is the storehouse of India's traditional skills. It is also a very important part of India's heritage and culture. For any economic topic, you must keep data in hand. It's very important that when you write answers of economy section, you must have data ready with you. Textile and garment industry contributes 2.3% to India's GDP, 7% of industrial output, and 12% of export. India's position in textile industry is very strong. India is the second largest producer of man-made fiber. During the time of pandemic, India became the second largest manufacturer of personal protective equipments. And this manufacturation came largely from MSME sector. India is the sixth largest producer of technical textile. It contributes 6% of global technical textiles. Technical textile is a general term given to textiles which are not made for aesthetics, but they are made for defined special function. So the purpose is functionality rather than aesthetics. For example, textiles called as agrotech, they are made for agriculture purpose. Similarly, textiles called infratech, they are made for specialized infrastructure purpose for construction purpose. India is the largest producer of cotton and jute in the world. India is also the second largest producer of silk in the world. 95% of hand-woven fabric comes from India. So in terms of employment, domestic demand, export, textile sector is a very important sector of Indian economy. Considering the importance of the sector, Government of India has taken many measures to promote the textile sector. Ministry of Textile has developed craft villages in selected handloom and handloom pockets of India for integrated sustainable development of handlooms, crafts, and tourism. These craft villages have a specialization in crafts like paintings, sculptures, handlooms, etc. The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs have approved the proposal for mandatory packing of food grains and sugar in jute material for the jute year, which was 2020 to 2021. The decision provided for 100% reservation of food grains and 20% of sugar to be compulsorily packed in jute material. The Union Cabinet has recently given its approval to introduce production linked incentive scheme in textile products. The textile products will include man-made fiber and technical textile. This production linked incentive scheme has been taken under Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. In the budget of 2020-2021, announcement for National Technical Textile Mission was made. The implementation period for this mission is of 4 years from 2020-21 to 2023-24. The mission will focus on research and innovation and indigenous development of specialty fibers, meaning the technical textile products. There are specific targets to increase the exports of technical textiles by 2024 through various measures like encouraging the use of technical textiles and specialty textiles to create awareness of their characteristics and importance in various industries, and to create human resource through education and skill development of technical manpower of our country. Government of India is running upgradation fund scheme which has a provision of one-time capital subsidy for some eligible benchmark machinery. Government of India is currently running various infrastructure development schemes like scheme for integrated textile park, integrated processing development scheme to enable the textile processing sector in achieving environmental standards. There are other schemes like scheme for additional grant for apparel manufacturing units under SITP, scheme for integrated textile park, scheme for incubation in apparel manufacturing, scheme for textile industry workers accommodation. Government of India also has approved a skill development scheme called as Samarth. This scheme is for capacity building in textile sector, covering the entire value chain of textile sector. Due to these efforts that Government of India has taken, textile sector has started to show better results. Although there has been some systemic problem in the sector, like the sector being highly fragmented. There has been obsolete technology in textile sector, the rising labor wage and labor salaries that also seems to make the sector less competitive. The export from the sector has remained stagnant for quite some time. The export from the sector has been stagnating and remained at $40 billion for the last 6 years. Although that has started to improve in the last few years because FDI inflow into the sector has increased. It is hoped that in the coming time, the sector will become more competitive. The scale of textile industry will also improve. Presently, the average size of textile industry in India is that of 100 machines per factory. In contrast, in Bangladesh, an average textile industry has 500 loom machines. But since last 2 years, because of the efforts of various state governments and the central government, the story of textile industry has been changing. There has been continuously increase in the FDI inflow into the sector. The production of textile, fabric and apparels that has gone up. India's share in the technical textile that has gone up. But more needs to be achieved and that will come through investment. There are huge investment opportunities in India. Because in India, the value chain of textile industry has been developed extensively. India also has an extensive custom of textile and apparel manufacturing. India has high skill set among the workers. India also has extensive development of apparel fabric outlets. So the opportunity for investment in retail brands is immense. As a suggestion, there are certain things that Government of India need to improve upon. First of all, by preparing a blueprint for the sector. Beginning with need for scale. The scale of production of any industry is important for increasing the efficiency. Just now we have seen that there's a problem of scale in textile industry. The average size of textile industry is much smaller compared to other competitors like Bangladesh, Vietnam and China. There has been in the recent time increased awareness of social and environmental issues in the manufacturing processes. So the global buyers, they are looking for more compliant, sustainable and large factories which are available in China and countries like Vietnam. So once we achieve the scale, it will get easier to achieve the environmental and social compliance as well. India has developed in the past very strong ecosystem in cotton apparels. But India is lagging in man-made fiber that have some specialized function. Although India stands at 6th position in technical textile and India's global share in technical textile is around 6%. But still, in large market like US, where there's a demand worth 3 lakh crore of man-made fibers, India is lagging behind. India's export there is just around 2.5%. So these needs to be achieved and initiatives like performance-linked incentive scheme for manufacturing of man-made fiber and apparels and fabrics will change things around. Specialization will come with competitiveness and competitiveness will come with capital inflow. So it's important that entrepreneurs are attracted to bring capital into this attractive industry for investment. That will create competitiveness along with incentives through performance-linked incentive scheme of Government of India, clear policy and policy support for the sector. That will help in research and development of new man-made fibers, creating specialization, capturing market like US where there are huge demand for man-made fibers. More investment will also mean greater scale for production and that will essentially mean greater social and environmental compliance. All of these must be coherently taken by the government and for that, a clear roadmap must be prepared by the Textile Ministry. The newspaper is flooded with hate speech related articles. I'll try to cover this topic from the perspective of GS Paper 4.
Jonathan and Maynard in their work have identified hate speech as important catalyst for mass violence. They also have cited that in the UN War Crimes Tribunal for the war crime that happened in Rwanda, hate speech was identified as one important factor for the genocide that happened in Rwanda. From the perspective and the purpose of our examination, this model I have discussed with you multiple times in previous DNS. The thing is that human behavior comes from attitude, attitude comes from our value system develops based on emotions. And emotion in human beings can come in two various ways. One is our cognition, the information that we hold. Your emotion develops as a reaction to the information that is given to you. And in long term, the knowledge that you have, the wisdom that you have developed. Suppose if government's advisory comes to be safe because of a possible bomb blast or terrorist attack in the area that you're living,
then immediately you will have some emotion of fear, panic. If before examination you are pleased to learn that the examination date has been extended, then you may feel happy, elated if you were not well prepared. If you come to think about it, from morning to evening, your emotion, your mood, everything depends on the information that you're possessing. That is one reason why fake news is destructive, because fake news by nature is having fake information, wrong cognition that will develop wrong emotion or negative emotion. There is one additional aspect to this. Emotion in human beings is also developed as a reaction to emotion of others. For example, if an old lady comes and starts crying in front of you because of the misery and difficulty she's facing, then you will also develop some emotion, perhaps sympathy or even empathy. If father tells on his deathbed to his son something, son receives not just the information, but that information is wrapped up with lots of emotion because it is coming from the father at that juncture of his life. The point is that cognition develops emotion, but emotion is also developed by emotion of the person giving the information. If you receive the information that people of certain community have gathered at a place, and because of that there has been further spread of COVID-19 in the society. If you receive this information, you will understand that the people of the community, the leaders, they have acted irresponsibly. You will develop certain attitude towards them, which may or may not change in the due course of time. But attitude, as you can see from this model, develops not only from cognition but also emotion. In fact, cognition and emotion are two components of attitude. It also depends the manner and the way in which you have received the information. If the person or the television news anchor has delivered the information in a very agitative manner, if you have received the information in very loud tone with disgust, shock, anger, that will create some reactionary emotion in you. You may also feel disgusted. You may also develop the negative emotion of hate. Now your attitude will be compounded. The attitude formation is not result of only information, but that is also result of negative emotion. This attitude will be very, very strong. And that will make the attitudinal change very difficult. Even if you have some positive experience later on, you get some positive information, that may not undo the negativity that you have imbibed. That may not change the negative attitude that you have already formed. So hate speech not only sometimes gives fake information, false information, inaccurate information, but it also develops negative emotion, maybe apathy or even more hate. Supreme Court in various judgment has observed that hate speech leads to marginalization of vulnerable section. Vulnerable section by its very nature definition requires more attention, more help. If by propaganda or otherwise using hate speech or other elements, apathy is developed for vulnerable section, then that will lead to easily violation of their rights. Apathy will also break the constitutional value of fraternity. Social cohesion will break down, social capital will erode, the concept of unity in diversity will get a setback, which will result in communal violence, riots, and it can escalate all the way up to genocide. It will erode ethos of the society. It will erode the concept of Vasudev Kutumbakam. It will erode the concept of Sarva Dharma Sambhav. It will erode the idea of India. That's how hatred is destructive of person's wisdom and conscience and can poison a nation's spirit. Now, what is the solution? One way of controlling negative attitude formation is social contact. In the DNS dated 7 January 2021, I have discussed with you the importance of social interaction. There we discussed the contact hypothesis given by Gordon Allport. We understood the importance of social contact, the importance of civic engagement in developing cohesion, and also acting as a barrier against negative attitude formation. Social contact, civic engagement give you an opportunity to correct your cognition. If you have been given wrong information, then with social interaction, you come to know the right thing. You may come to know that the negative image that was developed in your mind against certain people, community, that was not correct. And interaction on personal level also create the reactive emotions. Together, they help correct your attitude. Another method to preempt speech from causing the violence is a more proactive one. It is a method that was given by Jonathan and Maynard, which is counter speech. They have said that counter speech can counter the hate speech. You must be aware that presently we have many fact check websites and they do real-time fact check, especially of politicians. Meaning if wrong information is presented in public domain, you correct it there and then. It was also suggested by Jonathan and Maynard to create a counter-speech narrative. I am picking this case from their work. In Kenya in 2012, a TV drama show was created. The show was on dangerous speech. It was designed to inoculate audience against hate speech, to train the mind of audience to be skeptical about hate speeches. If somebody is presenting the information in a very agitative way, you have to be skeptical about the information that is giving, and if you are skeptical, then emotional outburst, the reactionary emotion in you because of the emotion of presenter will be very limited. Later on, as per the research work of some scholars at the University of Pennsylvania, Kenyans who watched the episodes were more skeptical about inflammatory speech than those who did not watch the episodes. See, many Indians are skeptical about politicians, especially the promises that are made before election. The negative image that many of us hold towards politicians, politics, or the poll promises, a large part of it has been developed because of media. You must have seen multiple movies presenting politicians in a bad light, highlighting their manipulations, their false promises. So when you get to read about promises of employment or housing or road construction or electrification or whatever, before election, you are not very elated, you're not excited, rather you are skeptical about it. So to fight hate speech, we have to develop counter speech, and to deal with agitative, provocative way of news presentation, which the CGI has raised a question on, we have to develop a counter way of news presentation, maybe the one that was there in Doordarshan, where news is given as information in calm and composed manner, so that the reactionary emotion is not there, negative attitude formation, even if some facts goes wrong, is minimal, and hence the negative behavior of citizens is minimal, and nation's spirit is safeguarded.
There is a lead article on page number 6 under Modi 2.0, a course corrected foreign policy. This article has lots of political overtone, so as such we are not going to touch this article. But a similar article has been discussed previously in the previous DNS dated 12th January. In this article, in great length, it was discussed as to how India's foreign policy priorities have been reframing. So the discussion done in this DNS, the date of this and reference link will be given in the description section, will suffice to understand the changing dynamics in India's foreign policy. Now sit back, pay attention and answer these questions. You have to say that statement is either true or false. Inverted tax structure refers to a situation where the rate of tax on inputs is more than the rate of tax on outputs. This is the reason why recently the GST has been increased on apparel and fabric from 5% to 12%. The statement is very basic and absolutely correct. India is the second largest producer of technical textiles. Actually, India is the sixth largest producer of technical textiles, so the statement is false. India is the largest producer of cotton and jute in the world. The statement is correct. India produces around 22% of world's cotton. India is the largest producer of silk in the world. This statement is incorrect. India is the second largest producer of silk in the world. Samarth is a technology upgradation scheme for textile industry. Well, this is incorrect again. Samarth is the skill development program for textile industry, not a technology upgradation scheme. Integrated Processing Development Scheme is to enable the textile processing sector in achieving environmental standards. This statement is factual and correct. National Technical Textile Mission aims to make India the largest exporter of technical textile by 2024. Well, this mission has been announced in the budget of 2020-2021, and the aim is to increase India's export. But no such target of making India the largest exporter of technical textile by 2024 has been set. So the statement is purely imaginary, incorrect. Craft villages are being jointly developed by Textile Ministry, Ministry of Rural Development and Ministry of Tourism. This statement is incorrect because craft villages are being developed alone by Textile Ministry, although it has implication on tourism and rural development as well, but these ministries are not involved as such. Talking of craft villages, we have next statement, Poolkari is a craft of Kashmir.
Poolkari is a craft that is encouraged within the larger scheme of Craft Villages initiative, but this is not the craft of Kashmir, this is the craft of the region of Punjab. Thankas is a form of painting associated with Tantric Buddhism. Thankas is also developed under the initiative of Craft Villages, and Thankas is a form of painting along with tailoring. And since it is associated with Tantric Buddhism, you will understand in which region of India it would be popular. In the Indo-Tibetan region, in Sikkim, and in Himachal Pradesh. Union Ministry of Home Affairs decides the election schedule for conduct of both general elections and by-elections. This is one of the statements from one of the questions that UPSC has previously asked in the prelims exam. In today's newspaper, you will be reading articles concerning the schedule of election in state of Uttar Pradesh. The dates are wholly and solely decided by Election Commission. This statement is incorrect. The Wakhan corridor links China's Xinjiang province and Afghanistan's Badakhshan province. This statement is factual and correct. You will read in today's newspaper an article concerning a law passed in US that bars the import from the region of Xinjiang of China unless it is proven by the exporter that no human right violation has been done in production of that product. When the region is constantly making news, you must look at the map of the region. This is Wakhan corridor connecting Afghanistan and China. Now you have answer to yesterday's question of the day and today's question of the day on your screen. Please attempt the question, post your answer in the comment section, have some fruitful discussion, and for more practice, also visit the DNS quiz on the ELEARN platform. Goodbye. Take care.